sure that I want to go live. Hey, you've got this part of the video. You've got the live unedited edition. Home Gadget Geeks, Thursday night, September 10th. I've said that 459 times. We want to welcome you to the show. If you're catching us live on YouTube, welcome. Jump in the chat room. Let us know you're there. I see Joe, Brian, and Ken have already checked in. If you haven't already, just pop down there and hit the like button. Just do it. I'll wait for you. Actually, I'm not going to talk again until you do. So just go ahead.
We'll wait, guys. We'll wait in silence.
It could be a long time. I mean, I'm just saying. So, if you're catching if you're catching this any other time, hey Jim, Shoemaker's out there. If you're catching us any other time than 8 p.m. in the Central Time Zone on this Thursday, you got the recorded version. Just hang tight. We're in the pre-show. It's just as interesting as the show. In fact, sometimes it's more interesting. So hang tight. If you want to go ahead and hit subscribe on the live page, you can. You get a notification whenever the live show goes. If you're watching this on you wouldn't be watching it on the regular channel, just the one with my name on it. If you were, you could subscribe to that one too. We got about, I got 1,000, 1,400, something like that, subscribers over there. And you can do that as well. But thanks for coming out tonight. Mike, what are you drinking?
So I went with the Infusion Brewing Co. local here. Nice. They just came out with their that's wait. Oh wait, I can do it with the button.
You got the new cam.
I got the button. So I'm gonna go to this and I'm gonna hit the button.
Focus.
No, focus here.
Still too close. Oh, pumpkin. There we go.
Yeah, vanilla bean pumpkin blonde.
Nice.
Really good. And now I gotta focus back on my face. There we go. A lot, pretty much what I like about it is it tastes like their traditional vanilla bean with just like a hint of pumpkin. Like almost if you didn't tell me what it was and poured it into a glass, I might be like, there's a hint of something there, but I don't know what it is. So I like that they didn't just overpower it with pumpkin. It's their traditional vanilla bean with just a little bit of flavoring in there of pumpkin. So pretty good. What are you doing?
We've got I've got the Goose Island again, the Goose Island Oktoberfest.
Very nice.
So you gotta like that. So I couldn't pass up. It's a chilly night. It's a chilly night here, and we got football on. Brian says in chat room, it must be extremely tough to record at the same time that your team is playing. Nah.
Not when you have multiple monitors. We both got it on, I think, on a separate monitor.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you which direction I look, guys, but if I'm looking a certain way, I might be checking the score real quick.
There may be long periods of time when we're not talking.
Unsolicited cheering. So
yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the tech. It's kind of cool what the NFL is doing, and I'm really happy because back when the pandemic started, I was very disgruntled with both the Major League Baseball and the NBA because they didn't get it. They missed an opportunity, and those are two really smart organizations that I thought would get it right. Now, the NFL gets it right almost all the time. Like they are amazing at what they do. So we are so Mike and I have the game going on behind the scenes. Jim Shoemaker says Anheuser-Busch owns Goose Island, and that could be true, but it's still what I've got tonight. So thought I'd give it it's that time of year. You got to give Oktoberfest a cheer. Look at that. Nice.
There you go.
Nice. Cheers, Mike. Cheers.
Cheers to you. I put mine in a koozie. So there we go.
Good call. I'm not a big fan out of the can. Like I'm not a big can fan.
It's just easier for me, and then it stays a little bit colder, a little bit longer, which is what especially during a podcast, what you need because you're not, you're drinking it pretty slow.
I do like it a little warm, by the way. I do like my beer. I don't like it ice cold. I do like it, especially the darker it is, the more I like it. Kind of warm.
Okay.
It's Guinness time too, and so we were out Saturday night. My oldest had turned 31. It's his birthday this week. And so we were having a party at his place. We pulled out the pearls, the black pearls cigars that I had bought for. Actually, you can see the box, right? The tip of the box right there. Pretty inexpensive. They're $3-4 cigars. They're not terribly expensive. You might in a cigar shop, you might pay $6. And but so my number 2 son and I actually spent some time trying to figure out, like, okay, what are the tastes in this thing? Like, what are we tasting? And we came to the conclusion at the end that it needed a Guinness. That would have been the best.
The best pairing, huh?
Pairing. Yeah. It had already kind of that Guinness taste to it, kind of the bitter, kind of licorice, dark kind of, that feel that that Guinness has.
Yeah.
And so it is. Jim's saying Guinness has a brewery in the U.S. in Baltimore. Visited.
And you're going to be out that way, aren't you?
I am.
I think you might have found a spot that you need to visit.
Yeah. No, that would be. I need to, because I'm looking for some places I can go. I'm going to be in the DC, and I'm going through Baltimore. So, Jim, that may be a good call. I didn't realize they're doing that. So we were, so we just kind of came to the conclusion that the Black Pearls need to get paired with the Guinness. So I was at the store on Saturday picking up some things, and they had Guinness on sale, and so I picked some of that.
Had to grab some. Can't turn that down.
Well. I don't think I mentioned it in last week's show, but I bought some new cigars through Thompson's. So the Thompson's Cigar International, they're all the same. And so I picked some of my favorite, kind of just run-of-the-mill cigars. When I'm out at Two Guys here in the middle of October, I'm going to pick up some really nice ones while I'm there at Two Guys. So the humidor, if I told you the story, stop me. But I was pulling down my humidors, which are really just Tupperware containers, right? They're just little plastic containers that are leak-proof, right? And Sarah goes, those are kind of empty. I was like, yeah. She's like, are you gonna get more? Like, well,
if you're thinking about it. I mean, yeah,
we've been in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm trying to not, those aren't necessarily a necessity all the time,
right?
Like, you need to get some more. So I picked up a few more, and of course the care package at Two Guys is what I'm on. So they send me 5 cigars every month to try, and they're doing a little bracket contest this month. So at the end of the month, they did A against B and then C against D. And then the winners of those two got shipped to us this month. And we have E and F competing head to head coming up here in a couple weeks. So it's kind of fun with sports not happening. So it's fun to do it that way. So it's been good. Of course, the weather this is like tonight is beautiful cigar.
Perfect. Oh yeah.
Gosh.
Because you can bundle up a little bit too. You know, if you need to put on a sweatshirt or yeah.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. We're gonna talk some weather tonight. If you're joining us live, thanks for coming out. Appreciate you guys doing that. Ken's getting a little buffering. Sorry, Ken. It seems like it's you. It's not me, it's you. Just gonna say everybody else I think's okay, but hopefully you'll get that fixed. I'm
just glad that your internet woes have died down. You haven't had any problems.
The Cox guy came back, right?
Yeah.
Did I tell you that story?
And so that was the end of it, was it?
Yeah. He was just checking in. It was a Friday. I felt like it was slow, and he needed some things to do to just get his hours. So he was following up with customers. Whatever. It was effing impressive. Like, knock, knock. Hey, Justin. Like, I didn't call. He's like, no, I'm just here to check. I told you that once we could go back in the house, I would come back by. That was his. It's like
I didn't hear. I can't remember if
I didn't tell you the story. Yeah. So the technician that fixed it, he comes to the house the other night. I'm out here. I was out smoking a cigar with Ed Sullivan, right? And on the deck, right? And I hear this. I get an alert on my phone. Somebody's at the front door. And I'm like, hold on, Ed. So I pop out there, but hey, it's Justin from Cox. He's like, the guy who fixed it. He was like, hey, I told you when I could come back in the house, I would come. Have you had any more problems? And I'm like, whoa, what did you say? Like, you're following up on a promise? Like, I thought, you just said that. Like, most people just say that to get out of the yard, right?
Right.
He's like, yeah, no. Like, why? He gave me that look like, why wouldn't I come back? Like, so I was almost speechless. I'm like, well, come back around. I said, hey, I'm in the back smoking a cigar. Is that? He's like, yeah, that's fine. So he comes back around. I'm telling Ed the story and pointing the camera down at him. Like, the Cox guy is here. Can you believe it, Ed? And so he checked a few things out. I said, no, I think we're good. I said, do you want to go inside and look? And he's like, no, I'm good. If you're happy. I'm like, yeah, I'm super happy. So it's pretty perfect. Yeah, how often does that happen?
Right.
Now I do have the plan, right? I bought that $10 a month plan that gets me extra special customer service, and they'll fix anything anywhere. So I've just been slicing wires just because I can. Oh, it might be right there. Can you replace that whole thing?
Yeah, you should probably. Yeah, exactly.
Replace that whole thing. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. It was good to have that. Guys, welcome tonight. Good to see you out there. Justin, sorry you can't get the 2 guys care package in Australia. Just one of those things that's not going to ship very well all the way over there. So you need to move to the United States, dude. I'm just going to say it. Just get over here. I know you have a job and all those other kinds of things. And by the way, Justin got it right. I couldn't remember. Tupperware is what you call that when you have Tupperware or plasticware. That's really what it is. It becomes your humidor. So I have 2 of those. I have 2 flat containers in a round cylinder sealable thing. And the poker cigars, which the Black Pearls are our poker cigars. But we haven't played poker in a while. So I was like, well, let's get these things smoked. So the poker cigars are in the round acrylic tube. And then I have a humidor for just the flavored cigars so they don't influence the other ones. And then the 2 guys go in their own humidor. So
nice.
Pretty great. Justin, thanks for getting that for me. He says if he finds a job, he would gladly move. I don't know if I'd want to move to the United States right now, Justin. Just saying.
Oh, that's better.
I don't know if I'd move to the United States right now. Eventually, maybe, but right now, half the country's burning down.
And the other half's burning it down.
It's crazy.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah,
no one get triggered by what I just said, okay?
No,
I know I just triggered a firestorm there. I'm joking. It's a joke.
We'll do. I'll mention this in the live show here coming up, but we got it. I've got kind of the barbecue format down, so I'm pretty sure I know what we're going to do on October 24th with the barbecue. But I think I got to do pretty quick. I got to do a cigar one. We'll have to just to see how many we get. It's going to get a little too cold if I wait too long to be outside smoking cigars. So we'll have to figure that one out as well. If I may have already missed the window. I might have to wait for spring for that. So, okay, Mike, I think we are good. Yeah, I tell you what, I cannot wait to get to Boston, see Ed, hang out with some folks out there, see Christian. We got all that lined up. John, we'll catch up with John. Now go by the Guinness Brewery. Jim, email me some info on that, would you? Would you just you probably know where it's at and all those other a link and all that other stuff. So Jim Shoemaker, if you'd send me that would be awesome. And then Alex, good to see you as well. Good. Thanks to everybody who's coming out in the chat room. Very relaxed show tonight. We have just a couple topics. We're mostly just going to spend time with you guys in the chat room. So if you're out there in chat and you want to chat with us via that way, chat it up. Good chances you'll make it on the show. All right, Mike, let's do this thing. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks show number 459, recorded on September 10th, 2020. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, is that what I say? That's right. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios. And here, Mike, we saw a 60-degree swing this week in the temperature. I mean, last week it was like 90s, 96. Sorry, I don't.
We were 102 on
35
Sunday.
Celsius, let's just say in that range. And yeah, 102.
Yeah.
Right? Tuesday.
102 on Sunday.
Tuesday, high 53.
Well, Monday, didn't we? We were mid 40s on Monday. We've been mid 40s, right?
Yeah, for the lows. Yeah.
I mean, so literally about a 60 point or degree swing. It's been crazy.
We set a record for, and of course I use My Radar, which will show up here on the screen here in just a second. The My Radar app, if you haven't used this on Windows, it's actually pretty good. I paid to have the commercials removed. Be a little fuzzy for you here just for a second. That all that stuff needs to work out on the internet. But it has been, Mike, watching this app over the last week with weather has been interesting. We haven't had any severe weather here. It's been actually just a couple days of some really nice, mild kind of rain, which has been good. I think I checked my mowing app the other day and we had gotten 0.2 of rain since July 25th. I was like, oh, it's been a little dry out here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But we, of course, the weather app I love that My Radar. It's just a great Great opportunity. I did get a comment on Twitter this week. Bjorn said, because I tweet the weather. We're going to talk about this with if this then that here in a few minutes. But every day I tweet the weather at 9:00. My boss who follows me on Twitter thought I was tweeting the weather literally.
Like every day, thumbing it out.
Every day at 9:00, I'm good enough just to be able to tweet that. But Bjorn said, can we get the temperatures in Celsius for God's sakes? Right, 95 is almost. This was last weekend when we were anticipating some pretty hot weather. And so Bjorn, I've been tweeting back and forth with him at Jay Collison if you want to follow me on Twitter, at Uyghur Tech if you want to follow Mike on Twitter. I quickly went into the app, the If This Then That app. I'll talk about this here in just a second, and changed that. Got Celsius on there as well. So great opportunity to get that updated. Sorry for everybody else in the world that does Celsius except us. But now the weather tweet. If you want to follow me on Twitter, 9 a.m. you'll get a weather tweet every day. I went in and saw the API, and I saw that I could also put a forecast link in there. So added Celsius, added the forecast link, changed it to Offutt Air Force Base, which is just next to us. And now you can get the weather, at least the Omaha weather from me every single day. Of course, you can also get the show notes, world-class show notes, if you want to check them out this week, out at theaverageguy.tv for this show /HGG459 as Mike's. I didn't think it'd been a half an hour, Mike, on your.
I was trying to be proactive, and I held the button all the way down, which took a picture, and then it showed you guys the picture of my video instead of just. Oh yeah,
no worries. Tonight we're talking PC builds. We'll talk about that here towards the end of the show. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL. Of course, it's NFL season. It's been weird, Mike, not having a preseason.
Especially for trying to get anything done in fantasy football, trying to make any predictions or anything. We haven't seen any of these guys. We haven't had, but the great part is also not many injuries, right? Because guys haven't been playing. Yeah. So a few practice injuries, but not that bad. But yeah, it has been weird not having any preseason to watch.
Been super weird. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. So hang on tight if you want to participate in that conversation. Big thanks to HelloFresh. It's September and it's HelloFresh month. I mentioned this last week and almost choked to death. But this week, no choking. And HelloFresh has kind of saved us through this pandemic. Great opportunities. Tonight, we had buffalo chicken tacos, which I never really thought, they give us some chicken cutlets that are cut up, and added some red sauce, hot, spicy red sauce to them as we cooked them. And then cut up a few pieces of celery, a little green onion. We got some cabbage in there. And some red cabbage, and it was done. It was really 20-minute meal, piece of cake, Sarah and I. It was pretty great. Listen, if you're struggling, if you haven't figured out the dinner thing during the pandemic, because at least have one good meal. And with HelloFresh, you can get 3 a week for 2 people, or you can get 3 for 4 people, or you can get 2 for 4. There's a whole bunch of combinations. They send you the recipe. If an idiot like me can cook them, you can too. So give HelloFresh a try. TheAverageGuy.tv/HelloFresh gets you $40 off and get you try it for a week. If you don't like it, it's pretty easy to skip weeks, right? It's
100% easy. Yeah.
No, right on. And it's so easy. Even a caveman could do it because you're looking at this guy. I've said this before, but it's really changed the way I think about food. Instead of just eating it, it's this could actually be delicious type deal, right? And different spices and stuff I've thrown in there. So give it a try. TheAverageGuy.tv/HelloFresh, $40 off. And we make a little bit on the other end as well. We have the Patreon meetup all set. So September 24th, 6:30 p.m. If you're a Patreon subscriber and you haven't checked your email for me on Patreon, love to have you do it. You can still get in on this if you want. I just have a $5 plan. It's super easy on Patreon. If you want to jump in and support us, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. As long as you jump in before, let's say the 22nd, something like that. I need a few days to kind of get you invited and stuff like that. But love to have you. You won't even get charged until the beginning of the month, right? I'm only as expensive as a cup of coffee. Well, a Starbucks Frappuccino, maybe. So 6:30, September 24th. Love to have you join us. We're just going to get in a big hangout, have a conversation for an hour before the show. 6:30 to 7:30. That'll give Mike and I some time to cut over and do the show on the 24th. Love to have you do that. Well, during that meetup, we'll just kind of be chatting a little bit, kind of catching up with each other. Some of the guys I haven't seen in a while. We'll also be talking about future meetups. Mike, we have the barbecue meetup planned for the October 24th. Pretty easy to remember. September 24th, which is a Thursday, October 24th, which is a Saturday. We're going to try this concept out of 3 different meetups throughout the day, all around grilling, but we'll be hanging out as well. It's not like you have to just talk grilling, but some opportunities. I think I'm going to do some kind of brisket, or I may do a pork shoulder or something like that. Something that takes all day, something that I don't want to take all day. Well, the morning session, first in the morning, like 7, we'll do it. So you can get your dry rubs on, get that stuff on the grill. You could do it earlier if you want to. You can do anything you want. We're just setting some times out, right, to get this done. If you're in Europe, it could be noon for you already, or a little afternoon. And we'd love to have you join us for that as well. So there'll be kind of I'm calling it the morning rub. It's probably a bad thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. It's the morning rub. And then the noon 1-ish Central, we'll get all back together and kind of catch up. Where are we at? Where are you at with your meat? What's happening with it? What's it look like? I am looking for a couple guys and gals who will live stream their smoker. So can you get a camera out on the smoker, get it with me, and we're going to live stream it. So folks can come in. We're going to do it here via StreamYard and YouTube. And all we're going to show is your smoker. That's all we're going to do. So I'd like to have like 4. I could get 10. I'd like to get like 4 smokers going throughout the day, people chatting in the chat room, you going out and checking it, like that kind of thing. Like just set up on your smoker. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I'll have mine. Mike maybe has.
Yep, all of mine.
Yours. We'd look for a couple more if you want to do that. Jump in at noon, check it, all those kinds of things. Then in the evening, we'll all kind of come back together. That'll catch folks in Australia. So Justin, this time is for you. Jump back in. We've got stuff. We can talk about what we did, what we paired it with, how good it tasted, some looks. Mike?
Can StreamYard be run on a mobile device?
Mm-hmm.
So is there an app, or is it the browser? Just so as people are starting to get ready for this. So it's just the browser.
It's just the browser. Yeah.
And it accesses like even on an iPad, iPhone.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Great.
Yeah. So you could use your phone if you want to do it that way.
It'd be a great way to do the 24-hour view. I'll probably have one view with just an iPad out there.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about overheating of a laptop or anything. Right. Hopefully it won't be that hot, right? We're in late October.
It's going to be October. I think it'll be fine. Maybe hot down in Australia.
Yep.
But if you want to, however you want to do that, if you want to join us, Jim@theaverageguy.tv. If you're thinking you want to kind of be on the cook team, right? The cook and meat, let me know early so I can start kind of getting that kind of stuff set up. If you think you'll have a smoker cam, that's kind of what we're going to call it. Let me know in there. And dude, I think this is going to be fun.
Brian goes, it turned into that type of show. When you're got the morning rub, and then we're going to check on our meat later in the day. And yeah, it's
it's almost like I thought about that.
It's almost like Jim thought about that.
It's almost like I planned it that way.
It's almost like he knows his audience, right?
She goes, "Oh, you mean a meetup? MEA."
Now that is good. That's creative right there.
Yeah. So it will. So the October meetup, and the plan, I'm hoping, is we just do one of these a month. Probably skip December, but we'll do some of these throughout the year, different topics. Just get in there and kind of make it fit the topic. So
right,
something fun while we can't travel and get around. So again, if you can do a smoker cam, if you want to join us on Patreon, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon, that'll get you in on that pre-show Patreon meetup group if you want to join us in there. And then if you, Jim@theaverageguy.tv, think you have a smoker cam, I'll have an Eventbrite invite built in the next week or two around the barbecue meetup, barbecue and grill meetup, and it'll be tons of fun. So get in on that as well. Big thanks to the community. We got Bitdefender, which is super cool. So they responded back early this week. The one drawback is they're in Eastern Europe and they won't stay up late. So I'm going to have to record it early. Mike can't make it. I'm going to have Christian come on.
Oh, very nice. There you go.
A pretty good backup for you.
Yeah. He knows that security stuff way better anyway. That'll be perfect.
So we're going to record him here non-live. And I'll probably do it live anyway. So it'll be in the morning. I think it's 21st. We're still kind of waiting on the time and date for that. That will actually fill in on the 15th when I'm on the East Coast. That'll be the podcast that launches for that week. So big thanks to everybody who tweeted at Bitdefender. If you want to do it right now while you're live, or even during the recorded show, tweet at Bitdefender now. Just thank them. So just say, hey, thanks for coming on Home Gadget Geeks, or thanks for saying yes to Home Gadget Geeks. We appreciate them. Super nice guys and gals over there. And so let them know that you appreciate their support of Home Gadget Geeks, and that kind of stuff goes a long way. Okay, a big thanks also Brian Tuminello, I think is how I pronounce it, and Carlos Martinez. They were Brian actually sent me this maybe early summer, Mike. I put it over. It came in and I set it over to the side and I kind of got busy and I forgot about it. But both of them sent me a smart Wi-Fi wall switch these do not require neutral. Remember that conversation that we had?
Because you don't have the neutral wire, right?
Neutral.
And almost every single smart switch requires one.
Yeah.
Doesn't. What's the brand on these?
Hard to see. Here, let me show the page. 1 second here. We'll stop sharing there. Sorry if you're listening to this. This is riveting audio. Apologize for that. Let's get to the Amazon page right there. We'll share that out. So they are Yister, Yister. In fact, it was hard to find the brand on the box. About $20 at Amazon. They're up on screen right now. Actually, I'm not sharing what they could look like. There you go. They have both a single, a dual, and a triple gang on there. This is the single. You can't see it because of the screen's too small and the lights are too. But I got a single and two doubles there. They're Wi-Fi enabled. Single wall switch. They work with Alexa and Google Home. They should fit what we're doing here. I think I got the right visuals here on screen. It was hard to find exactly what they were, but
not bad on price. I mean, especially if you're only using these in different locations. I don't know how much a normal wall switch is, but to have that integration with A-Lady and Google, that's really what you're looking for. I mean, that's really at some point you're just trying to get your smart assistant on a switch.
Yeah, and I think like in the garage, I just need a single gang. So there's the gang. Sorry, I keep saying that wrong. There's the one, it's just two wire, and then the double has a 3-wire. So pretty simple box. Comes with some install stuff and some instructions. Pretty easy to do.
Do you know if they're dimmable?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
Because where I see these being the most useful is, for example, I have the fan lights that have 3 internal tiny little bulbs. Right now I have an adapter to go from that tiny bulb screw to the main bulb screw, and then I have a hue in there, but you have to have 3 of them, which gets really expensive because there's 3 lights. And if I could just have controlled the entire appliance with a smart switch, all I really wanted was the smart capability. Yeah. Or in our kitchen, we have 9 can lights that are controlled by 1 switch. Be perfect. I've never made that smart just because I'm not going to spend the money to put 9 smart bulbs in there. But
I'll tell you what, I'll bring a 2 gang over to you so you can.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be fun to test. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, super cool. We'll bring those by and.
But if it starts to put RFI into my shack, Jim, like we talked about last week, I'm gonna have to give it back to you.
I got you.
Because I can't smart switch a smart switch. I can't say turn off the RFI devices to turn off a switch that's plugged into permanent power. So. No, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to test that.
You'll have a way to test it. So we'll bring them by so you can mess that. Both Brian, Carlos. Carlos just came a couple weeks ago. Sorry it took me so long to kind of get to him. I set him off to the side. There was not a convenient time to talk about him, but hopefully you're both listening. You're still listening. You're not mad at me, especially you, Brian, because you sent that a while ago. But I appreciate you guys doing that. You heard me on the show, and if anybody has a private jet that they want to send me, that's fine. Just send me an email, jim@theaverage.guy.tv. Love to have. It'd be super handy during the pandemic, Mike. Right?
I would take a ride on the private jet. You don't even need to send us the jet. Just, hey, so I'm going to send it to Omaha. Mike and Jim are coming out to visit me. If you want us to visit you in person, if you send a private jet over here,
we're there.
We'll hop in.
We're there. You get 2 for 1 too.
Yeah.
You get 2 for 1.
And I won't even ask where we're going. I'll just hop on the jet. So you can just, you could send us anywhere really. Drop us off and see how we survive.
For sure. Mike, we talked a little bit about If This and That early on here. And, I haven't visited If This and That in a while. They actually are the ones who do the weather tweet that I talked about. I have 3 other kind of routines that they run. Many of you are familiar with them because they're the 6:15 tweet that says, Home Gadget Geeks is coming up. It's the 7 a.m. one on Friday that says, if you missed Home Gadget Geeks, we recorded it for you. And then one that actually I had for the long time that got shut off was 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. I'm pretty sure I shut it off because it was just the 6-week stint I was going to miss on Ask the Podcast Coach because of Get Hip. And I never turned it back on. So I turned that on as well. So I use it for those tweets. Mike, do you use If This Then That?
I used to a bunch, and really what I was using it for was podcast automation. Same thing as you, right? Like watch this feed. If it hits, then tweet out the link and do all sorts of things. And then I also used it for scheduling some of my lights. But really, I've switched over to either using Siri or A-Lady for a lot of that automatic, because when you combine the two, especially with those and with your phone, you get a lot of that functionality. I think this is more for, they've probably lost a lot of business in that regard, right, in the smart home space, but they probably have not lost any business in terms of all the other deep integration they have with different websites, and like you use it for weather tweeting, things like that, stuff that your home automation isn't going to accomplish.
The applets that I use showed you that, but this weather one, the ones we talked about here just a few minutes ago, the weather has been super handy and super helpful. And so I actually went in. It's really, if you haven't been out there in a while, they're really easy to set up. In this case, I found the recipe for it, went in there, changed the location up here to Offutt Air Force Base. I set the time of the day I want it to tweet, and then there's a really cool integration in, they call them ingredients, and I can go in with the API on the weather report and see all of these options that are available to me: current temp, forecasted temp, today's conditions, humidity, wind speed, pollen count, those kinds of things, right? All available to you. So for a weather nerd like me, this is super cool. I may go against that. What caught my attention on If This Then That is they've always had to been just if this then that. It was one thing, right? That was available to you. Zapier, who we've had on the show a long time ago, 7 years ago, maybe, on the show. I couldn't get him back. I asked him and they ignored my request.
Oh man, after they've already been on the show.
I know, maybe I need to turn the audience against them too.
They got too big, huh?
Hey, you guys, they've always had a pro plan, and I think If This Then That did not. And so there was an announcement I think it came this week, that they're now offering a pro plan that is if this, then that, then that, then that, then that, right? But what I'm really interested in is knowing what do you use this for? Or if you could, what kind of recipes do you like? If you're on YouTube, just put them in the comments down below. I'd like to hear from you. What are your favorite recipes on If This Then That? What are you using it for today? Or what would you like it to do? That'd be another thing I'd love to hear. If you're in the chat room right now and listening live, throw that in the chat too. I'd love to hear that. But here, Mike, here was the interesting thing. They say set your price, which I was like, what?
That's what caught my eye when I first saw. I'm like, is this, and I've heard of this in terms of they'll do concerts where it's you pay us what you think we're worth, right? So, but is there a lot of language in here?
Well, I think it's kind of set it this way for now, and they're going to leave it that way for a while. I think that's
so the fine print doesn't get you, huh? You really do set your price.
I have not dug in. It says for a limited time, If This Then That users like you are able to set your price for Pro. Your subscription will automatically renew at this price each month. All prices are US dollars. I would imagine that it's going to stay, like if you pick it now, it's going to stay that way for a year or two. I don't know. I didn't read. I didn't go into the terms. I didn't think maybe somebody will figure that out for me. Maybe somebody in the chat room can dig in right now to find out. What I found was really interesting, Mike, is like just the different plans. So they have a $3.99 plan, a $5.99 plan, and a $9.99 plan. Well, who would pick the $9.99 when $3.99 is available, right?
Yeah, yes, but then you know what? I would have it agreed like off the if I first saw it, I'm like, yeah, why would you choose $9.99? But there are Patreon people who I support, and I don't choose the $1 plan. I choose the $5 plan or the $10 plan, right? Because I think in my mind, they deserve more than that because they give me enough entertainment or whatever that is. So, maybe if there's some really heavy users and like, man, we use the crud out of you. Sure. We'll throw you $9. It might even out, maybe they thought $9.99. They didn't, maybe that was a little much for them. Like, well, really, we only need to charge $3, but if we give them the option, we'll have some users who throw us a lot more than they would. I don't know what the rationale is there. It's interesting, psychological. I want to know what the outcome is. It would be a great study, right?
But what you don't see in small print right here is it actually says $1.99 or more.
Like the minimum. So you could do $2.
You could do $2 if you wanted
Okay.
to. So you could cheap out if you want. Choose that, do $1.99 and just give it a try. Unlimited app creation, multi-step applets with queries, conditional logic, and multiple actions. Faster execution for polling and real-time applets. And of course, if you pay, you get their customer support. So can't believe it took this long for If This and That to come up with a pro plan, just to be 100% honest. But they've got one. And I actually like it. It's more, If This and That's always been a little more consumer focused than Zapier.
Zapier, right. Zapier's always been more on the commercial side.
Yeah, they have been on that side. And so super interesting. I'd love to know, like, it got me kind of thinking today. Brian Hour in the chat, let's see, he says, my dryer alert for my cell phone, when it stops running, it texts me and my son. So when his dryer stops running, he gets a text, right? That's kind of a cool way to be able to do that. And so I'd love to hear about your integrations. What are you using? It was hot. I remember when If This and That was super hot. Everybody was using it.
Yeah.
But seems like it's kind of fallen out a little bit. Like I think you mentioned the A Lady and the G Man are.
There we go.
You like that?
Yeah, I like it.
Like I thought about it, and they've kind of taken over that space, and rightly so. But I think there's some really cool integrations that those can do that others can't. 7-7 is the 13-7 now. Kansas City.
Yep.
They must have just scored. Mike?
Sammy Watkins just put it in.
Nice.
I'm not watching.
13-7 Chiefs over the Texans. We'll keep you. Well, let me just do this. We'll stop sharing on this side. Let me reshare my screen. I had this all set up for you guys.
Oh, you'll get pulled off YouTube though.
If you want to know, no, it's even better. We'll just do this one. This I can.
Oh, there you go.
I can display this all day long. So we'll have that.
I like it.
I can just throw that. I can throw that in, and you're welcome to see. Now the extra point was good. 14-7. Not that we're paying attention to the game or anything like that. Okay. Speaking of the NFL, Mike, how do you plan? Okay. It's a whole new world. Like when it comes to sports, have you tried watching any Major League Baseball or NBA basketball this season? Have you tried watching it at all?
Well, the only sports I've watched, so I'm super into the NHL. So I've been watching that, and
it's that hockey sport too. Sorry, I didn't mention it.
Yeah, that hockey sport,
whatever
going on right now with NHL. So I've been watching a lot, and it's been interesting because I know that the NFL and everyone tried the how to make this work without a crowd. NFL is a little different. As you're watching now, the first game they spaced everyone out. So what they said at the beginning of this game was there's 17,000 people there. I don't know what the capacity of Arrowhead is. I should know that instead of like maybe 40,000. I don't know what the capacity is, but so there are people at this game. And in this NFL game we're watching, they said they are not piping in any boosted fan audio. They're not changing anything. It's the real audio, what you're hearing. But on the NHL side, there's no fans. And so they pipe in fan noise. One thing I noticed though was, so I've been used to watching the NHL, and it feels completely natural watching the NHL. I wouldn't notice until they pan up that the crowd is not there. They have, I don't know, somehow done a very good job figuring out how to mimic the crowd, even the reactions to things, right? A shot and when the shot misses, or, like when someone gets hit, it's kind of like a reaction from the crowd, a grumbling noise or whatever. It's very natural. I went and watched like an NBA game or some other game, and I was like, what are they doing? It was so bad how fake it sounded. So the NHL is the only league that I found that is actually doing a halfway decent job of fake audience sounds. So that's been my experience so far. Have you watched anything since?
No, it's unbearable. It's really hard to watch that with empty stands. And you'd think it'd be better than it was. First of all, I thought that they could have done a little bit more during when we didn't know a lot to kind of entice the audience. Like, okay, yeah, so we can't play real baseball, But how about some fantasy baseball? Like, why couldn't we do EA Sports things around? Why couldn't we get players doing? I mean, imagine if you'd taken the players and set up a big, gigantic tournament, a big, gigantic EA Sports tournament. Twitch is already like almost as big as YouTube as far as viewers go at
Killing
this point, right? And so you're like, why didn't they just partner with Twitch? They could have done so much more. And that's my disengagement, yeah, with all of them, is they were too slow to respond to some of those things. They could have come out and done a whole bunch more. One of the stories that was on Engadget, I think I'll bring up here, is that Microsoft Teams. Okay, so we've had some time now. To be fair, the NFL has had 6 months to think about this. And so they've partnered. Of course, they've got that Microsoft partnership, right? They got Surfaces on the field. They've had this partnership with Microsoft for a while, but they're bringing select fans into the game on Teams, and they're leaving the mics on, so that they are getting some, and some of that noise is making its way into the stadium. So you can have fans there that are connected via Teams. It's all coming into a channel and creating like this crowd noise, right? Which and I love their title. It says Microsoft Teams will bring fans into the NFL stadiums virtually. That's certainly better in small print. That's certainly better than having completely empty stands.
That
right?
sounds like if you're piping in volume, that sounds like a recipe for someone really messing with everyone, right?
Okay, but I think when you think about Mike, the law of large crowds, right? If you're at a stadium, you can have a guy who's just super loud, but he can only be super loud for so long. And if everybody in the live stream has the same volume opportunities, it gets kind of drowned out.
Yeah, that's true.
If you have 10,000 people coming in on Teams and they're all talking, it's going to create this. And yeah, you might have somebody trying to yell, whatever, but that happens at stadiums. Right. You've heard that loud, obnoxious fan, right? That's doing this. And so they're trying it tonight. It'll be interesting to see. I don't have times to kind of watch that, but each game's home team will invite some fans to watch games together in a VIP Teams meeting. They'll see the feed of the game alongside a gallery view of other fans, and it'll be included in the mosaic view. Audio from those meetings will be mixed with augmented crowd noise that has been customized for each stadium. Which is kind of cool. LED screens will be installed in each end zone in key games. When a player scores a touchdown, they can see and celebrate with the fans through a Showtime cam, which is like there'll be a cam just set up for the players to go to interact with the folks on Teams, right?
I like it.
The league will use Teams to manage operations throughout the season too. NFL's been working with Microsoft for several years on various projects, including the year's draft, which took place virtually amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Also the reason why fans won't attend games physically. The two sides extended their partnership in March, with Microsoft providing franchises with access to Teams as part of the deal. So I thought this was pretty cool. I thought, okay.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it compares to, the NBA has been doing the fans in the crowd via their webcam. Right. So you'll see the crowd and it looks like some people, it's actually just the screen of someone watching via a webcam.
Yeah.
So they've been trying that same thing. I don't know what the experience is like on the fan side, what they're seeing. Are they just watching a normal game with their camera on so that, they can project those people into the game? I don't know how it all works. But it'll be interesting to see how this compares to what the NBA has been doing.
The Verge has a good article. NFL games will have artificial crowd noise. This is what you referred to a second ago, specific to each stadium. So they're doing it kind of stadium by stadium. I think in louder stadiums, Arrowhead Stadium is a loud stadium. I think they're going to allow louder crowd noises in there.
That's cool.
And I thought, Mike, let's see if there was anything in this article that I wanted to highlight here. One of the things I was kind of hoping for early in the year is that they would allow you to purchase an app where you would get so much cheering. Let's just say you could when you push the space bar, it would create cheering. And over the course of a game, you might be able to push the space bar 1,000 times, and then it's done. So that keeps somebody from going cheer, cheer, cheer. And plus, if you had 50,000 people doing this, one person just pounding the space bar, No,
Right.
it's really not gonna in a crowd like that. But it would give you an opportunity to when the Chiefs score again, like they're going to maybe here in a few minutes. I could then push that right after the touchdown, push the space bar, and in the stadium, the volume.
The players feel it too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're not doing it. It's too. Would you pay? Say it's $4.99. Would you pay $4.99 for access to the game? It would give you a special stream and this app that would allow you to have some influence over the crowd noise.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. You need some other sort of feedback. So the reason Twitch does so well and that people donate so much money to Twitch streamers is because that Twitch streamer they formed a personal relationship with them, but also, a lot of times they're reading the message with the donation and like, oh man, he read my stuff. Like, for some reason there's some connection there. Yeah. So they would have to think of some way to make it, a little more interactive than just being able to cause noise, I think. But either way,
but maybe if they had cameras on the field, like access to things you wouldn't normally get access to, the ability to send a tweet into a player, or who knows? Like the opportunities are endless to try these things. The NFL, I think, is getting closer to it than anybody.
Right.
I think everybody's just kind of hoping we can go back to normal. But man, I think there were such great opportunities. Kevin said in the chat room, this is his space too. Keyboard replacements.
Yeah, there you go.
Boom, right.
No kidding.
Just pounding their keys, the
right.
keyboard, right?
I think the difference is, though, the majority of people are used to watching that. It hasn't changed. Like for me, watching this game feels no different because of COVID, right? Because so actually, Brian looked it up, and I appreciate it. So 76,000, a little over 76,000 is how much Arrowhead holds. So 76,000 people at Arrowhead, would have experienced it differently being there, but if they weren't there, they would watch it on TV, probably like they do most other weeks. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I don't know if there would be the enticement for me to spend some extra money to affect the cheering, because like, well, I mean, this is how I'm used to kind of watching
it. But knowing there's no crowd there to cheer, and you could have a little bit of influence on what the crowd noise in the stadium is.
Yeah, but I also know they're just pumping that in artificially right now. Anyways, I'm like, well, they could do it the other way, right? They could.
Yeah, but just say, for example, because they have some ambient crowd noise going in. They're simulating what the crowd kind of sounds like,
right?
Murmur. So it's not so empty, right? So that's going on. But imagine that's the base layer, and then everything else is affected by what fans do.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be fun, and I'm sure you would get a lot of people that would do it.
Think about, you'd be like, okay, so tonight Kansas City's playing Texas, right? Or the Texans. And oh boy, that's going to cause a fight because they're not they're from Texas, but they're Houston Texans. Okay, so the Texans play. Imagine the rivalries that could be around fans to say, hey, we got to get because now home field advantage may not, fans really need to rally around their team virtually to make sure they have the crowd support, right, for that. So it's much like when the Huskers travel, right? The Huskers, we know we go to teams that don't have great fan bases, and there's more Husker fans in the stadium and that makes a difference, right? Yeah. And so I just think it could have been one of those things the NFL really could have latched onto and been like, I wouldn't have paid for tonight because we're doing this tonight, and I wouldn't have been able to cheer for these things. But it maybe, just some of those fan interactions, some of those ability to some special angles on the field. In other words, you get on field views that you're not going to get on TV. Maybe some access to some cool local guys and gals that are doing stuff in podcasts and things like that. I don't know. I just think I'm sorry, reading the chat room. I just think there's some opportunities there that good for you, NFL. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I think the NFL is going to get it right. They almost always do on these things. And I think by the end of the season, we're going to have a pretty good fan experience that I'm hoping will augment for the future. I think some things that may stay around. So
yeah.
Could be
really. I mean, I think the only concern from their standpoint is lost revenue due to ticket sales, right? That's what they need to get up, because I think like we said, for everyone else, everyone's still watching on TV, so they're trying to augment that money they would have gotten. But the hardest part is, the NFL will be fine, and the teams will likely be fine. It's the local businesses around those stadiums that are really losing out on a lot of revenue. I mean, Sunday football brings in revenue to so many restaurants, gas stations, liquor stores, and it's a big deal. So yeah, I think we would need to figure out a way to better those companies as well.
Yeah. Well,
but you're right. It's a great chance to increase the fan experience overall. We've been really stagnant with you watch it on TV. Yeah. And what they've been doing so far is, adding in little trackers, and it has, obviously the insights you're getting while watching, but you're still just watching. You're not doing anything else. So yeah, you're right. It could be a good time to increase the engagement.
Just imagine if you use the record button to either record what's going, like on Xbox, you can say, hey, I think you can say Xbox record.
Yeah.
And it right during a game.
Yep. And it records what you just did for the last 30 seconds.
Probably wouldn't allow that. But what if it allowed you to record a fan expression? I think Justin said this in the chat room just a second ago. He said, works better if you record yourself cheering. So imagine if you could record that and then send that in, and that would be part of the fan interaction. In other words, you could go see like Raiders fans are the nuttiest, craziest fans ever. We think we're crazy fans in Kansas City, but the Raiders fans are bizarre, right? And I was in the Bay Area for a Raiders game, a day game. I was on BART when they were going to and from the game. Wow, wacky. But that being said, yeah, you could do some recording things, and they could give some things away. There could be some ways of doing it. I don't think we've thought through all the creative ways that we can increase fan involvement. And I think they could have taken a page from Twitch and said, oh, like people are just watching these and giving these. Why? Because there's personalities, right? Yeah. Why? Because they develop relationships. Why? Listen, Patrick Mahomes could go on Twitch and clean up. He could just clean up. Him playing EA Sports football. Clean up.
Yeah, you're right. I've seen some athletes try and do that, and they don't take off because they don't know how to interact in that manner. Mm-hmm. And come for the first 1, 2, 3, and then that person just really sucks at doing that. And I think that what that's really shown is these Twitch guys are not anyone can be a Twitch streamer. You really have to know how to be engaging. You have to know the perfect balance of how much to talk to the audience, how much not to. You need to be tech savvy. There's one streamer that I watch who actually helps some of these pro basketball players and NBA and baseball players get set up. And man, they're brutal to watch. Like you literally are only there because it's kind of cool. They're a pro athlete.
Yeah.
They're pretty bad. But, so if the media people found out a way to keep them entertaining, but I think there's a reason that they only interview players for about 7 seconds on ESPN, because that's about, sometimes that's about all you're going to get. That's an entertaining clip.
But I think Patrick has a pretty good personality. I think
for sure there are some players who totally could.
Yeah. So Peyton Manning. Could you imagine Peyton Manning playing? I
would tune into that.
Hilarious. Dude is right. The dude is just hilarious. And it'd be fun to have some that have that where they know each other, some trash talking, where you get some head to head between a wide receiver and they trash talk on the field all the time.
Yeah.
And so, but you're right. You can't just take a famous football player and make him a gamer. That doesn't work either. Right. They gotta have there's a certain kind of communication skill that goes into it. So,
and their entertainment factor is their athletic ability, right? We all have our things that make us, valuable to the public, and theirs might not be sitting or talking or anything like that. It's I want to watch you go run fast, go catch that ball really high in the air. That's what you're good at.
That's what you're good at. 17-7, by the way, Kansas City just kicked a field goal and it's halftime. So super cool. Mike, you're getting a chance to do a build, which is in your wheelhouse right now, right? I mean, just kind of think about it. So what are you guys doing?
Well, so this has been an interesting build because so I actually built it. I'm building it with my brother-in-law. So this is my brother-in-law who's in his senior year of college. This is his first time. He's going to use it for gaming primarily. His first time ever having a gaming PC. He's been a console gamer his entire life. And really, honestly, his only interaction with a computer has been in college. They had iPads in high school. No need to use a computer. And he's used it for, the basic word editing, Excel, things like that. So hasn't been an avid user of any computer really. So he's been really excited. He saw my build and he's like, I think instead of getting the next gen Xbox, I think I want to build a gaming PC, especially because for his line of work too, he does a lot of accounting stuff and they're working from home. So he has like 5 spreadsheets he needs open, and you can't, it's hard to get a bunch of monitors onto a laptop. You need a bunch of docks, and even those don't work very well. So something with a good GPU, a lot of ports, and that he can just kind of plug in and go. So, but the fun part about that was, we were really trying to find a middle of the road build is what I'll call it. We're not going extreme budget here. This is not a $500 PC. I think what this averages out to is around $1,000, give or take. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on what prices are. The crazy part, what we learned, is that prices are just fluctuating so much on computer hardware right now. You check one day and it's one price, you check the next day and it's different. So our goal here was to build a middle of the line of, more towards the budget and gaming PC, but that would give him the opportunity to expand, which has been a lot of fun. So right now we're actually going to build this thing on Sunday because I think he's finally got all the parts. So he was slowly buying the parts. He's obviously, he's paying for everything himself. So he was like, I'll just buy it as the money comes in. I'll keep buying parts. So now we're at the point where we're building. And so what we went with, and this is kind of interesting, and in the chat room, if you guys have any suggestions or comments on kind of how I led him, I led him very much down the same path that I went with. I'll just be straight up. Everything here was kind of based off stuff I've used, and I have been extremely happy with the performance of this PC I built. And I think for the money, there kind of tends to be a law of diminishing returns for someone who's not a pro gamer and someone who isn't like expecting 4K, 240 hertz. That's not me, and that's not him either. We both are coming from the Xbox, which is like 30 frames a second at 1080p, right? And that's set on like low graphic settings, not low, but it's not great. The first time I fired up Call of Duty on my PC, I put one screen next to the other, one Xbox and one PC, and I was like blown away, like absolutely blown away. Couldn't believe it. So that is fine for us. And so this is what we went. CPU, we went with the Ryzen 5 3600 XT. And you guys know that I put the Ryzen 5 3600 in my build. Well, actually with prices now, the XT is not that much more expensive. And you actually get a decent amount of core clock and boost clock. Same amount of cores, 6-core system, hyper-threaded to 12 threads. But you get a little nice little boost with the core clock and base clock with that XT model. And that's 1 year newer than when the 3600 came out. GPU, he has not bought yet. He's actually going to borrow because that's the most expensive part. So he's going to wait and kind of save up for that a little bit. And GPUs, it's not a good time to buy a GPU right now because of all the new stuff coming out. NVIDIA just released their 3070, 3080 series cards and the 3090 too. But they just, so they're out and they're starting to get out to the YouTube reviewers. But once they actually hit the market, you're going to see a massive decline in the 20 series cards. So if you don't need one of the newer 3070s or 3080s, you could probably snag a 2070 for cheap. So we're waiting on the GPU. He's actually going to borrow the 1066 gig that I used in this build previously, which is in my Unraid server. So he's going to borrow that for a little bit and use that for the GPU. 16 gigs of RAM. We're doing an NVMe for the boot drive, 250 gigs, a gig or a terabyte spindle for his games. For the motherboard, we kept going back and forth on this. And the main reason we decided to go with what we did was because we didn't want to have to deal with BIOS updates. If you have Ryzen, you know that some of the older boards will work with the new 3000 series chips, but you might need a first or second gen to run the BIOS update so you can actually work with the 3000 series Ryzen. So we went with an ASRock X570 Phantom Gaming ASATX AM4 motherboard. Great little motherboard. Relatively inexpensive when you think of motherboards. Has all the connectors you're going to need, though. A lot of USB 3, enough PCI lanes. I think it has 2 PCIe 16 slots and then 2 X1. So more than enough for what he's going to be doing. He went with the Fractal Design Meshify CATX mid-tower case. Pretty good looking case. I really let him kind of go out and pick that. I didn't have any suggestions for him. I said, do a case is a case. Don't spend too much on it, but go look out and find something that you like. And it's an all black with a really nice looked glass side, but that doesn't have any sort of bezel to it. It's like when my case has a really kind of probably this thick of white bezel of metal around the outside. This is just straight glass the entire way. I think it has magnets too, is how it detaches and how you get in there. And then obviously just a 550 watt power supply. He was, he's very much into aesthetics of the computer. He's like, if I'm going to build this thing, it's going to look good. And looks maybe even more than like extra performance. So he did go modular on the power supply, got the modular piece so you don't have all the extra cords tucked in the bottom, which is huge. It's like my biggest pet peeve about my machine over here. I almost want to take it down off the desk because I have to look over there and see that mess of cords on the bottom. It drives me absolutely insane. So that's the build we did for him. He's going to go with stock. I know we talked about cooling few weeks ago. And his plan is, he goes, well, the CPU comes with one, right? I said, yeah. He goes, well, can I start with that? And if I have problems, go get more. I'm like, that's exactly right. I mean, that's exactly what you do, right? You start with the stock cooler, use it the way you would. And if you're starting to get some high temps, then start to look at AIOs, bigger fans, whatever you need to really get that airflow moving. But it's been my favorite part about all this has been, he's never built a computer. I mean, what he told me was, dude, I thought that stuff looked like rocket science to me. Every time you sent me a Snapchat, looked crazy. He goes, then I started watching some YouTube videos. I'm like, that doesn't look that hard. And I think on Sunday, he's even been having more of an epiphany. I'm like, man, this is not that hard at all. Like, this is very easy. This goes here, snap it in, and you're good. Yeah. Remember to do things maybe in the right order and don't shock, don't have any, don't rub your socks on the carpet before you build it, right? But it's been fun to watch his progression with technology on the computer side, on a PC side that he's never had before, and it's fun. And then even little things like on a PC, when you're really used to Xbox gaming, you're used to either buying the Xbox game in a physical store or downloading it from on Xbox. There's no such thing as like the Blizzard launcher that you need for Call of Duty, and you don't need Steam to run certain games and all that stuff. So I was kind of walking him through like, yeah, you'll need the Blizzard launcher, you'll need Steam, you'll need this. And it's like, man, there's a lot more options. He goes, yeah, but and not paying for like something like Xbox Live. He's like, well, I have to pay for Live. And I was like, no, on a PC, man, like online gaming's online gaming. You don't need to pay unless you're doing like a World of Warcraft thing. But besides that, so it's been a lot of fun helping him out with that.
It is fun to put those together. Although, you know what, I'm surprised. Like the way we put PCs together hasn't changed in 20 years.
No,
like,
it hasn't. You're right.
They've just gotten faster and better and more memory. But I mean, a motherboard is nearly identical to what they were 20 years ago. Video cards have gotten bigger, but they've just jammed more into smaller spaces.
Yeah.
I was going through Tim, Tim rebuilt his computer. Remember a couple shows ago, it was more than a couple, but back in the winter, we went through Tim's build. I guess it was spring. He got that build put together and then took it back to California with him. So he has it. He left all the parts here. It's a miracle I haven't put all those parts into something already.
It really is.
I went through them today. I had an itch to build today. And so I went through his stuff, just kind of like, I wonder, because he probably wouldn't care if I put some of them together. I wouldn't take them permanently, but it's just kind of fun to assemble. I couldn't find a CPU. That was the problem. I think he changed everything out except the CPU. He's home in 2 weeks. So I was thinking, well, maybe I'll order an eBay CPU to put in there. It's an older board, but the stuff just hasn't changed. I did find he had a 60 gig SSD drive that he had the OS on. So this was, again, 4 years ago. So 60 gig SSD, 1 terabyte spinner, which is for his data drive, right? Yeah. Little Barracuda, little Seagate Barracuda. That I set aside to Thief for sure. I'm gonna be like, I don't know what happened to it. It's gonna go in my group of hard drives. But yeah, we still put PCs, as we were talking with Ryan and Bob, a couple weeks ago about coolers. I was like, this stuff really hasn't changed that much. Mm-hmm. It's still pretty much memory is memory. NVMe is different. Like that's something that's new and different. The way we connect in the way that form factor looks, that's kind of new. Everything else, I mean, even SSD was just a version of a spinner, just the same size, same form factor. They didn't change the form factor. So PCs have not really changed that much. They've changed, well, not changing very much. They've changed drastically in some areas. You talked about the power supply, having modular power supplies is not new, but it was a big change. I have a couple old power supplies in the garage that are, I got one in my Core i5 box that sits right over here, and it's all jammed. I've got the Cooler Master case that's got that is really tall. All the cables are jammed in the bottom component.
That's mine too.
Yeah.
I don't have a modular power supply, and this was new. Like, they still sell non-modular power supplies. They sell a lot of them. NVMe, right? USB Type C. I'm trying to think of any like new types of connectors, but like USB 3.0, 3.1 has like stayed the same, right? The Type A connectors, things like that. So yeah, there's really not. I mean, even pinouts for the power button on your case, those things haven't changed.
Same thing. By
Yeah.
the way, I found Tim's 1070 that I almost thieved too. That was another one. He bought a 2080 to put in the new box. So he's been gaming on a pretty nice one, but he had a 1070.
Yeah, did you see all the stuff that came out with the pricing on the 3070s, and they beat the performance? They beat the socks off the 2080 Ti for half the price, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, they got some. I think, Mike, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going to skip the 20 series, right? You guys, now that the 30 series are out, are you going to go with
how much the price drops is what I told him, right? Because so the price came out $500 for a 3070. Still a hefty amount of money, right?
But a great
fantastic.
GPU.
One beating the 2080 Ti, right, for $500.
Yeah.
So I said, really, if it's going to be the difference between 300 and 500, keep using my 1060 to get you through, and then grab that 3070 probably. Yeah. But if it's a drastic difference, like if that 2070 comes down to like $125, $150, even secondhand, I think that's still a great card. And the difference being too is you got to remember your monitor makes a big difference. So if he wanted to even take advantage of that higher thing, he'd also have to spend $250 on a monitor. Right now, he has a 75 hertz monitor, which is great. You're going to get way more than the 30 FPS you were getting on Xbox, and you're going to be able to play 75 frames per second, 1080p. You don't need that beefy of a GPU to do that. So I think if it would be one of those things of like down the road, if you really want to go full bore, you would need a new monitor and a new GPU, or you could do one right now and then upgrade the monitor later.
I think I'd buy them together, to be honest with you. Like,
that's a lot of money. Then you're spending $750.
I know.
Like, 50.
But if you're gonna, if graphics matter, I think getting the right card that's optimized with the right monitor is super important, because you can buy a great card and underpower it with the monitor, or you can have a really great monitor and never use it to its full capability.
If you're a full-on gamer who's been on PC, and you'll see the difference, for sure grab them together so that you're not bottlenecking one. But if you're coming from console, you'll be more than impressed with 1080p, 120, 144 frames per second. I think that'll be more than enough for most people.
Alex just said he finished moving over from SATA to an NVMe, and you see a big difference, in performance with that. And
I love it.
I still don't have one. Like,
really?
No. Now I'm SATA on everything. I'm SSD, but I'm still SATA on everything. That'll be the next board. Whenever I decide to do that, that'll be the next board for sure. So there's lots of reminiscing going on in the chat room about old pieces of equipment and things that they used to use. Jim's talking about deck tape. No, let's see. Hold on, it's up here. Oh no, I don't know where it went. Sorry, you guys they're talking too fast for me to keep up. So appreciate you guys doing that in the chat room as well. Mike, so is parts ordered at this point?
Parts are ordered. I think everything will come in, and we're going to build it on Sunday. So we're going to do a football, beer, and computer building afternoon. We're going to go over, turn on NFL Red Zone, load up our fantasy on the screen, and then build a computer. It'll be a lot of fun, because I'm really the only one. The other thing we had to kind of think about here was that I'm the only one of his friends that has a PC for gaming. But with Call of Duty being cross-platform, and I think a lot of games going towards cross-platform, it didn't really matter, because I can play with him on Xbox, and especially because you can plug an Xbox controller into your PC, you don't get put into keyboard and mouse lobbies, just like you would if you were using a keyboard and mouse. So you're not affecting your friends. But what really changed that was Game Bar. So Jim, you've probably never had a reason to hit Windows G and open up that Game Bar. Mm-hmm. Actually, kind of cool. So even if you guys are watching right now, like I'm going to hit it right now. So if you hit Windows key G, pops up the game bar. So you actually get a nice little sound mixer on the left side. You can monitor your CPU usage, but the big piece about that is on the right, or if it's not up there, the options across the top, you can pop out the social tab and you can get into an Xbox party. So, and your Xbox friends have no idea you're coming in from a PC. So you can get invited to an Xbox, voice chat party, and you can invite them. You can interact with all your Xbox friends just like you would be on the Xbox. That game bar really made it so that it's really is seamless between the two. I would pop up Call of Duty just so I could have the better graphics on here. I joined their Xbox Live party, and some of them didn't even notice until in Call of Duty they saw the Blizzard symbol instead of the Xbox symbol. Like, wait, are you on PC right now? Like, yeah. They're like, oh, I wouldn't even notice. Like, it sounds the same, and so with all those additions, I think that was finally for him. He's like, okay, even though all my other friends are on Xbox, I can still play with them. I think most games are going cross-platform. I don't think we're going to see a regression in that. So yeah, it made sense.
Cool. Keep us up to date on the build. We got a lot of things going on. I actually have the next 5 weeks all planned out here on Home Gadget Geeks. So Daniel J. Lewis joining us next week to talk a little bit. He did some RGB lighting in his studio. I think it's going to be super cool. So we had him scheduled. He had to back out because all the parts didn't come in. I saw it on Saturday on Ask the Podcast Coach, and so he's going to join us next week. Kyle's going to join us. Kyle Wilcox is coming on to join us here in the next couple weeks and kind of update us on some cool equipment he's been using in his school district. Chris Nessie's coming back after him. Kind of update us as well. We had we did this show kind of on COVID when we first got going. And so I'm having these guys kind of back in. Nathaniel, the week behind that, they were all in different spots with where they work with education. And so I want to bring them back individually, have some conversation with them as well. And then the week of the 15th, it sounds like I'm going to get Bitdefender. That won't be a live show, but we'll have Bitdefender in there talking on a recorded show, and pretty excited for that. Mike, one more thing before we go. I have made the jump off of Chrome for YouTube. I know it's kind of weird, but I have just gotten so sick of the ads on YouTube. It's terrible now.
Really?
Okay. Now I know I can install an ad blocker and blah, 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 right? Whatever on Chrome. But YouTube, and I could pay for it as well and get the ads removed. But I just, I've had the Brave browser installed on my computer for the last year. Never use it for anything. Just was there because we talked about it during a show or something. Yeah. I thought, wonder how Brave handles YouTube. So it was literally on the shows I watch, I was getting an ad every 2 minutes. Like, it was worse than network television. Like, I almost went back to TV. I was telling you in pre-show, you said to me tonight, like I said, hey, is the game on television? And you're like, yeah, it's on NBC. And I was like, oh, I don't get NBC. Like, that's how long it's been since I watched network television. I think the last time I watched network television was the Super Bowl. So, like, it's been a long time since I've watched anything on network television. So, so as I think, I'm like going through this process of like, these ads are getting ridiculous, like every 2 minutes. And I'm like listening. So at work, I'll put on a YouTube video and then I'll work. And then I hear an ad. And if you don't click off that ad, you get another ad. And then, like, it's annoying. Like, it's gotten, I knew it was going to get to this.
YouTubers make money.
No, I know.
Okay.
But it's just too much. Like, you don't need that many. Like, I get it. I
would go against the YouTuber and be like, dude, stop having YouTube put all this stuff in there. Like, they're trying.
They can't.
You can go in there and say, don't put the mid-roll ones in.
What I need to do is pay for it. If I care about content creators, I need to pay for it so that I don't get the ads. It's too much.
Is that an option to pay?
Yeah, you can buy. I think you can get that YouTube subscription.
That would be a perk of that. That would be a nice perk. I didn't think about that.
I thought, anyways, doesn't really matter at this point. So I tried out Brave. Natively wipes out everything. Like,
which is crazy how they can do that.
No ads, wipes it out. By the way, there's a Bitcoin component to Brave too, right? Okay. You can get the basic attention coin, the BAT, if you, for certain things that you do on there. Anyways, I'm not going to do it. But you're probably going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. This week, has been, I think it's YouTube Premium, Justin says. I think that's what it is. I think this week, God, watching YouTube has been, I'm kind of back to the way it used to be when there weren't as many ads. Like, I kind of actually enjoy it now instead of like, oh my God, another freaking ad. Like, because usually I have it up when I'm doing something, and then you got to stop and move over. And so I get it, YouTubers. I get it. This is how you make money. I get it. But you need to put some pressure on YouTube to stop monetizing as much as they do. Oh my God. Like, just tell them to stop. Brave takes that all away. It's weird how they do it. Yeah. It's seamless. You don't see, it's not like no click, where the ad's supposed to be, and then it goes back all the way through. It's just beautiful. YouTube is beautiful again.
Interesting.
Screw you, content providers.
Well, it's funny too, because I haven't had that. I mean, I watched YouTube exclusively all day, every day, and I feel like I haven't noticed that. I feel like a lot of mine aren't as bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of used to clicking the skip button as soon as they come up.
Well, I was too. For the longest time, I was fine with 2 or 3 ads per half an hour. I was okay with that. Not 10 or 15 ads. And that's what I'm up to right now. 10 or 15
per video?
Video. Yeah.
Video.
They're just DIY, like I'm watching homesteaders do some stuff, or I watch Cole the Corn Star. He's just down the road here, talks about his farming stuff. Yeah, he'll have 10 ads. He has maybe a 12-minute video, and he'll have 6 to 10 ads show up in his. Yeah, it's awful.
Huh.
It's awful.
Interesting.
Yeah, Joe is saying I think 12 would get me out of it. $12 a month would get me out of it. It's the right way to do it, actually, by the way. 18 for a family if you want to do it that way. Well, or free on Brave if you want to do it that way. It's the other thing it's done, I've been trying to use Edge. I use Edge on a box for Discord. Just because I'm trying to use these browsers. Like, I need reasons to use them. Chrome is such a hog. Like, it is literally worse than IE was in its day. Like, where IE was a terrible browser, Chrome is worse now. And they're all Chromium, not all. Many of them are Chromium based. So they're all bad. Like, they all have this hog. I used to say, I remember a day with when Windows 10, you get away with 4 gig of RAM. You can't do that anymore and use Chrome.
Nope.
No. And you can't use Edge because it's Chrome based. So you can't use Brave because it's Chrome based. What are your options? Like,
I don't know, I use full on Chrome.
Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah.
They're all hot. That's all. And like right now, this box I'm running is running at 11 gig of RAM. Right now, this box that I'm using, 11. And I don't know.
What's so funny about that is it's so tied to the service you're using too. So I had the same amount of Chrome browsers open right before the show. And when I was talking to you, you reminded me that I have this on Plex, so I could watch the game on Plex. When I switched from watching in Chrome, didn't matter, from YouTube TV to Plex, my CPU just like shot down. It's like, oh, thank God you're not watching that on YouTube TV anymore. Like, YouTube TV just sucks up resources. I'm watching the same game at the same resolution, right? It's just interesting how that's any different. I mean, but so it also depends on, like, if you Google services alone eat up a lot of resources.
I think they do, and it's a trade-off for some of the great things that they do in the experience. But by the way, update on the game: we are 9 minutes into the third quarter, 24-7. Kansas City just scored again, so congratulations. So I Justin reminds me Firefox is an option.
Yep. Safari on Mac isn't bad, honestly. They've done a lot of improvements over there too. It's kind of like Edge, right? Where Edge is kind of like they finally got rid of IE, and Edge isn't bad. Safari's not bad either.
Yeah, just Chrome is out of control, and YouTube is out of control. I just, they just get you sucked in, and then they just hammer the crap out of you.
Yep.
And so it has
bring in, and then we just beat them down. I don't know where I was going with that one.
I don't either. I don't either. A couple reminders kind of on our way out. One, don't forget, if you're a Patreon subscriber, and why wouldn't you want to be if you can be, right? By the way, this is not a play to get you on Patreon, but the 24th of September, we're going to join together. I'm going to get the Patreon subscribers together. One, just to thank them for their support. There's been some great ones out there over the years that have supported us. Just to say thanks, to have a conversation, talk about some future meetups. So if you haven't got that invite from me, you're not gonna. Well, you should have through Patreon. Maybe it didn't come up. I'll send it again this week, but send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. If you're on Patreon, I'll send you out the invite to that Patreon meetup 24th. You need to be on Patreon. You got to like the 22nd of September to jump on there if you want, and you want to get it done that way, you can certainly do it as well. Then the October meetup's open for everybody. That's going to be a barbecue and grill meetup. If you want to set up your barbecue cam, you can do that. You can stream all day for part of the day or most of the day for me. Let me know, jim@theaverageguy.tv. Love to have you join us kind of as part of that group. Again, that is open for everybody. So mark it on your calendar, October 24th, 3 different times. I'll have some more information coming out in a invite coming up. The reason I'm doing 3 different times is because I want to allow Europe and Asia to get involved in this. And so if we just did it during the middle of the day in the U.S., that excludes everybody. So we'll do an early AM, a middle of the day U.S., and then an evening like this time. It'll be maybe an hour earlier, but like this time, so our friends in Australia can join us, or wherever, Hong Kong or Singapore or wherever, can join us as well. If you want to join us in the Discord group, and why wouldn't you? Kevin Schoonover posts awesome deals, like a $60 Z-Moto cam that came out. Well, those are cool, and that's a great way to get into home automation if you're not, and you don't have the dollars to spend on it. Head over to theaverageguy.tv/Discord and just follow that deals channel. Like Mike, the ham radio stuff blew up this week a little bit.
Yeah.
In there. We had some pretty good ham conversations.
Talk on the show last week definitely spurred a little bit of conversation in that channel.
Yeah, no, so super good. No pressure, but if you want to join us, the nice thing about Discord, no ads. It's pretty great, right? No, right? No ads. I don't know why I'm so anti-ad tonight. I don't know
either. That's a new take for you.
I know, it's kind of cool. I kind of like it. Maybe it'll stick around for a while.
You just want to be the grumpy old man on something, right?
Maybe so. Maybe.
Yeah, the ads.
Maybe speaking of ads, the AverageGuy.tv platform powered by Maple Grove Partners gets secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. And that's Christian. Christian's actually going to help me out. Mike can't make the Bitdefender interview, and so Christian's going to come on and join me for that interview, and we'll run it down both channels. Actually, I'll make it both a Cyber Frontiers and a Home Gadget Geeks. We'll run it down those channels.
But great. If you go to the AverageGuy.tv, there's no ads.
Yeah, there's very little ads, anyways.
I don't think there's any ads. I just checked.
Oh, yeah, I think
for internal like Maple Grove hosting, right?
Maple Grove's they're a big deal. And on the show notes, you can click on the HelloFresh link that's down there.
Well, I mean, there's no obtrusive in-your-face ads.
No, I don't do that. I don't do that stuff. If you're in need of a website, you can get plans for as little as $10 a month. And Christian is rock solid in what he's doing. Check out maplegrovepartners.com if you want to join me on HelloFresh, and maybe we'll do a HelloFresh meetup. I'm just saying, maybe we'll get together and we'll all cook one together. Actually, Mike, that's an idea. For those on HelloFresh, we could all, like 1 week, we could all order the same thing or order different things and have a meal cooking time where we get together and all cook it together. So that'd be kind of fun. So if you want to join me on HelloFresh, and a couple of you did last week, so I appreciate you doing that. Head out to theaverageguy.tv/HelloFresh, and that'll save you $40 on your first box or something small. Give it a try. We appreciate it. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. We'll do some post-show where I'll tell you something amazing that happened to Mike that you're not going to believe. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.
I'm so excited for this story.
I was just wanted to do one of those YouTube. You're not going
to believe it.
You're just not.
The 10 photos they didn't want you to see.
That would have been a good one. I've got photos of Mike that you're not going to believe.
That he doesn't want the world to see.
I don't even get over there enough to. Well, I'll need to come back by and bring a cigar and drop off a
switch. Yeah, it sounds good. Let's do that.
I'll figure out. I have to look ahead on a night where we can, or whatever, get that done. Be good to do. Chat room, great job.
You guys were active tonight.
See, skip. What? I don't understand. What, Brian? What were you trying to skip the ad? Is that what you're trying to do?
Probably.
Yeah, I guess not.
I think it's a joke towards us. Like he can't skip our ads.
I know. It's just I know. Yeah, and it will be a meet MEAT up when we do it in October. That's gonna be. What do you think you'll smoke for?
I think ribs for that day.
What's your cook time on a set of ribs? 8, 9? How many?
A little less than 6.
Oh, okay.
Up 5 to 6.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect. Maybe I'll do baby back ribs too, because Sarah's been dying for me to do some ribs. Hy-Vee had chicken quarters, so leg in the back, for like they had a 10-pound bag for like $10.
I've never done chicken, so I would need to. Well, besides wings, so I would need to practice up on that.
Yeah, I imagine, it'd be maybe a 2 or 3 hour cook on those. Okay.
A little short for what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah, but that's one you could do and wrap. So like you could put it on really low, right, like 200, and let it sit for 4 hours, and then monitor the temperature. When it gets there, Then wrap those, like Mark talks about. Wrap them in tin foil. Wrap them in a towel. Throw them in a cooler and let them sit for another 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
And pull those things out. Man, I bet that meat would just fall right into your mouth.
Be good. That's what I'm excited for, is the eating it afterwards. Like, what do I want?
Yeah, Joe says, so I wonder, yeah, you totally can, Joe. So you would just go to the link on your phone. It should invoke the browser, and then you should be able to join me on the browser. I'll take control of the camera. Those guys, Gage and Dan, are pretty smart. We'll do a little practice with it, but yeah, you should be able to use your phone. I'm going to bring a C920 home from work and set up a laptop outside and have that streaming in, and then probably host it from down here. We'll use StreamYard. I can get up to 10 smoke cameras going at a time, and I'll probably, you can't do this automated, but I'll probably feature from time to time. I'll feature like the best smoker. And, we'll have, because, I can do kind of featured, I can do this now, but I can also do that for you. So we can, and then, so we've got some capabilities to do different, hide everybody and just show one, just show you, so what I'd really like is 9 squares of smokers all going at the same time.
Yeah.
And just streaming that on YouTube, having some chat kind of stuff. I think it's going to be fun. Like I'm kind of pumped to do this now. I'm really excited. Maybe that day I should throw in a cigar, like in the afternoon. I should throw in an extra meetup for anybody who wants to join me for a happy hour cigar.
And that's October 24th, right?
24th, Saturday the 24th.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it'd be kind of fun. I've been doing a lot of those virtually with Ed and some friends at work. So, although I did get down to Havana. It's open. It's clean.
That's what you were saying last week. Is like just the difference in like.
Never seen it so clean. It's like, whoa, did you guys spend the whole pandemic cleaning this place? Because it's super clean.
Right.
Jim said he had to restart his YouTube, probably because he's using Chrome. Had to restart his YouTube session for the 3rd time. Windows is running updates this week, so you probably, if you haven't checked, there's probably an update waiting for you, by the way, in the background for all versions that are out there and available. Mike, tell me about the ham thing you did this weekend. You guys went out to a park? You did some stuff?
Yeah, was that this weekend that I hadn't talked to you guys?
No. Yeah, because last week we did the show, and then that weekend you went out and did some park stuff.
We didn't end up doing it.
Oh,
I don't think.
You posted some things I saw. What did you?
Saturday? I am so messed up with my days. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If I didn't talk about it, yeah, you're right. Maybe it was after the show. So Saturday morning, you're right. It was Saturday morning. It was. So Saturday morning, we went out to a park and went to Chalco Park here in Omaha, and took the family. My parents were in town too, so they came, took my boys, and it was perfect. I set up the radio, I threw my antenna into a really tall tree, and tried to make as many contacts as I could. Ran it on a battery, and it was just a lot of fun sitting at a picnic table with a big antenna in a tree. The looks you get from people as they're riding their bikes by was kind of interesting. But ended up getting, over the course of about an hour and a half, 53 contacts. So if you guys want to see it, you can follow me on, I think I put it on the map on Twitter or Instagram. My Instagram is Mike Wieger, Wieger is my last name. You guys can see it there. But yeah, I put a little map out there. You can see the lines to all the different places in the United States. But we hit California to New Hampshire. So we were literally coast to coast from that park with just an antenna in a tree. It was a lot of fun. Good time.
That's cool. Good to see you.
I'm definitely addicted. We're down this weekend to do family photos down at my wife's farm. And so, of course, I had to pop up the POTA map. Like, where's the closest park I can activate to their farm? And there's one like 12, 15 minutes north of them that I'm probably going to go activate on Saturday morning. So that'll be fun.
I'm going to have to watch the highlights for this game. It's looking good. Like, I'm seeing there's been some pretty good plays.
Wait, Andrew says, check my logbook. Did I make contact with you on the radio, Lapta? And did I not? What is one where I couldn't hear you, or did I not make the connection? Now I do have to go check. Lopter, what's your call sign again? Am I looking in QRZ or where am I looking? It's probably just in my logbook, my regular one. EG, if I can type.
I started filling in cracks in my driveway this weekend. So I've kind of been sealing, it's needed it for a couple years, and this is the year to kind of get it done. So I've been buying. Say it again.
Especially right before wintertime.
Yeah. I'm going to try and get the whole thing done before. And so I've been using kind of a self-sealing caulk to go in there and fill those in. And so I put some new landscaping in on the side of the house that diverts the water. It comes off the corner and then runs down a sidewalk channel. I made the sidewalk the channel, and then goes out to the front lawn and dissipates. So that's nice. Great. And so that's all. I needed to see all that up to make it kind of a straight channel, so it wouldn't create any kind of get underneath that concrete or any of those kinds of things. So got that all sealed up, got the water diverted the right way, and then I had some leftover, so I went out and did the front. I've got a front. By the front door that was needed to be filled in for a while, so I went in and sealed all those cracks up, and what I really should have done was shot some foam down there, because there was a gap and some space in there that I should have filled it up. I just didn't. It was hot. It was right before the cool down came, and then I went out on the driveway with whatever I had left and filled in. So I'm going to go out this weekend and pick up some more. I'll probably pick up a couple big tubes of it and just start again, rather than try to do it all in one day. Just go out and fill in a little bit, smoke a cigar, fill in a little bit, so, and then I did to go back to the lawn episode. So Monday, because it was, blistering hot on Sunday, that was the 102 day, right? So I went, so I didn't mow. I was like, this is dumb. So Monday it was starting to cool down. So Monday morning I went out and I mowed short. So I took it down pretty good, and overseeded in some areas and punched some holes in the ground where it was, because it still hadn't rained. So punched some holes in the ground in some spots. I broke my weeder thing, the stuff I do holes with. Yeah. I broke it. The ground was so hard. So, but
of course, it rains like cat and dogs the entire week.
So I got as much seed down as I could, knowing this rain was coming. So I felt pretty good. I went out today and looked at it, and it's looking pretty good. And it's going to take, the lawns, it's going to take a couple weeks for them to recover from this summer, because they were so beat up. But I felt pretty good about it. I was like, okay, I got some seed down. I really don't need to mow for another probably 7 or 9 days, because it's been so cool, and I cut it, I got it to the right length to begin with. So yeah, all those, I tell you what, all those lawn care episodes just really, I mean, man, they paid off for me this year. I just staying on top of it, following Dave's advice, been super helpful. And the side yard was decimated, and I reseeded that. I got lucky and reseeded that before I went to Colorado, and that actually sprouted. And then I was able to water it every day because it's just a little spot. And that thing's like a jungle now. So I was like, yes,
it worked.
It did. It's amazing what happens when you follow the prescribed patterns to that. So
right.
Yeah. It's good to, I've actually pulled out some, I've actually pulled out some areas of grass this year. I put a walkway in, I kind of reduced my grass footprint. So I'm not getting more. I want less. I kind of want less grass.
Yeah.
Not more.
God, I would love that.
Gonna put some landscaping in to take out some even more, and I'll put hostas in its place. Those underneath the tree. I transplanted some ferns this year to help them. They beautiful spot in the tree. I had a runaway kind of water exit that was just carrying everything out with it. Just creating this funnel. So put some landscaping in at the end of the year last year, finish it up early this spring. That's a break for all that. So now that slope is not as steep, and it doesn't create the funnel effect where it just pulls everything out with it. It comes down and pools in a spot, and then that water dissipates in an area, so everything gets watered. Really, really happy with the way that's
about a ton.
Yeah.
I have my French drain that goes out to the yard, and I think it carries more water than I really want it to out to the front.
Getting some of that water to dissipate, and then I moved ferns into that area because they love those kinds of conditions. I've got some hostas down there that love those kinds of conditions. So I moved some early in the spring. I moved some roses out of the front that were just getting decimated by the deer. The deer were it was like a breakfast bar for them every day. They just crushed the roses. So we dug them up. I've got one more to dig up. I'll do it here this fall or maybe next spring. And move them into pots. And those went on the deck. And those have done really, really well this year. And they'll do even better next. I'll bring them into the garage for the winter. So cover them and bring them into the garage. They'll be stored there. They'll be fine over the winter as long as they don't get the really, really bitter cold that we have. They'll do even better next year. And so the goal is to move all the roses up on the deck so that I can have, so I can keep them. The deer just eat them. If I don't, the deer just crush them.
It's hilarious you have deer that run through your neighborhood.
So they're like a pack of dogs. They're just awful. They'll crush a hosta plant in a night. They'll just decimate the thing. Right. And you're like, oh, come on. And then here's the weirdest story of them all. How many do we have still listening? The weirdest story of them all. So one of the things, there's still 10 out there. So I'd heard Irish Spring will keep the deer away because it confuses it's so strong. The soap Irish Spring.
Yeah. Okay.
I hate it. It confuses them because it's so the white-tailed deer that we have here in Nebraska. Their nose is 400 times more sensitive than ours.
Yep.
So imagine we smell it like they smell it. Okay. So to them, it's not appealing. So I put it out, and sure enough, it kind of worked. And you need to kind of
bars, or are you just gonna crumble it up, or what?
No, I just left the bars and I put them whole right behind the rose plants. So
yeah,
they just fit there. You can't see it, but some animal likes it, and they steal it. And
they steal the actual bar?
They steal the actual bar of Irish Spring, and they take it somewhere else on the yard, and they eat it. I find these bits of Irish Spring chewed up around.
It has to be raccoons, right? I mean, what else would eat the soap?
Are raccoons that stupid that they would eat Irish Spring?
I think so.
Dude, that stuff is awful. I mean, it's awful.
You've seen raccoons eat. I mean, it's there.
I know you're right. It's pretty dumb. It is probably the coons.
To be.
But so I I need to get a cage for them or something because they keep getting to them. But the Irish Spring is like $2 for 6 bars on Amazon. So you can just order them. They're literally here the next day. I can order them right now. They'd be here tomorrow morning on Amazon. They're $6 or $2 for 6. So, but that has helped. that's helped. The Irish Spring has helped with the roses, and like I said, I'm going to move more and more of my roses up to my deck so that I actually get some. I got a couple this year on bushes I've never seen roses on because the deer would eat them before I could get to them. And we talked about putting a big fence in and some other things, and I'm like, this is dumb. I'm just gonna a $20 planter, and I just dig it up and put it on my deck, and then I can't enjoy it. The longer those are in the pots, the more, the better they'll do in there. And so in successive years, they'll get bigger and hardier in some of those.
Yeah.
And then we planted butterfly bushes this year too, which is not the first time I've done it, but I planted them in a different spot, and man, they have just done fabulous this year. So we've gotten a lot of monarchs.
We're the opposite. We are so bad at landscaping. We just have beds where it's just like nothing, and all the weeds grow up. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. Both my wife and I hate that. We do not find it enjoyable at all. Yeah.
No, I get it.
We don't make enough money to pay someone to do it, but we don't want to do it either. So it's just gonna look like shit until then.
It looks fine. It looks fine. Actually, nothing sometimes looks as good as having something. My neighbor has a hibiscus bush that she put in 2 years ago. It's just gorgeous. And the deer will eat it, but she keeps cutting it so it'll grow taller and taller, and eventually they can't reach it.
Right.
This was the year they can't reach it. So it had all, and then my neighbor had some lavender or some other things planted. So the butterflies, I mean, in our yard, they have plenty now too. So it was, that back area was just full of them this year. You'd go out there, bees and butterflies.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, it is kind of fun. I do kind of enjoy that part of it. I need to plant more mosquito repelling plants. They have mums and some other stuff. Well, lavender
out there when all those mosquitoes are out.
Yeah, just to kind of repel them a little bit more. I use Cutter. You ever use Cutter for your lawn to put I forget that kills the mosquitoes? I did that twice this year, and that was good enough. We just didn't really struggle. And I sprayed the deck down so it would leak between the boards and kill the stuff under the deck because we were getting a lot of bugs coming up from underneath our deck. Jim says he's read that coyote, cougar, or bobcat urine works well too. Not sure where you get that. Not from them, but yeah, Jim, I've tried hot sauce. I've tried spraying hot peppers on my, you make a hot pepper mix and spray it on the leaves. The deer are just like, sweet. They've added pepper to the salad bar. And so the deer just crush. They're like, oh, is this barbecue sauce?
Hey, next time you Sweet Baby Ray's, it's a lot better.
Exactly.
You switched it up this week, we don't like it as much.
Try to get some salt and pepper.
Get some Frank's Red.
Totally. I think we had some Frank's tonight. So I haven't really found. I finally this year just decided to move them.
Yeah,
it's like I'm gonna move them. They're just gonna go. They're gonna go somewhere else, and I'm gonna leave. There's ferns in there, and there's been ferns growing in that spot. And this year they actually came out to the rose bushes, and I'm just gonna let them continue to migrate out. I do need to install some drip water in there for the hot summer days because this year my ferns, in that heat wave, my ferns just got burned up.
There's that long a streak of that high heat and no water. Yeah,
I do. I think next year I'm going to work on some drip irrigation to kind of help with that. And what I think I'm going to do, because I have areas I don't want to run underground, and so I think I'm going to hide tanks, like 5-gallon tanks that are tied to the drip, and then I just fill up. I can just go over and fill up that 5-gallon tank and say it again.
That'll last a while too.
Yeah, drip. Yeah. And then, just do it as needed. If you don't need it, you can just sit. So I don't know that area. I don't want to run irrigation. I just don't want to do it. I'd rather just kind of have it set up, and then the winter you pull it up and take it in.
Right.
So I think, Jim, I saw these motion detected, it's like a sprinkler that you can put in, you tie it, and then when it detects motion, it goes off, and the deer run away until they get used to it. Then until they get used to it, and then you find them out there like,
What shower's on, guys?
He turned the water on. Oh dear, that's tough, man. They are
Over there with the Irish Spring, just like, oh, thanks for the water. I need some water with this. Well, I can get it sudsy. I was having to lick it and then wipe it. This is way more effective with the sprinkler.
Yes.
They gave us soap and water. They really want to make sure we're clean animals.
I love this house. Hey, where's the towels? I need a pillow.
They know we'd have sticky hands, so he gave us the Irish Spring and they turned on the sprinklers. This guy is full service over here.
The best bed and breakfast I've ever had. The deer are like, I know. Time to
tip. Like, I don't know what. I found a $1 bill. Here, you can have it.
Yeah, Joe says they're using it to wash down the hot sauce.
Oh, I'm getting. I can tell I'm tired.
24/7 into the fourth quarter. Do they? Because this game counts, right?
Oh yeah, it's regular season.
So do they? They don't like. There's no opportunity to put, and the rosters are regular season size, right? There was no chance for players to make
camp. They just didn't have preseason games, right? They were, yeah. Yep.
So, like in a game like this, Kansas City's 99.5% probability of winning right now.
Yeah.
So in a game like this, do you think, do they treat it more like a preseason game and they start playing some other players late into the game on something like this? Or do they treat it like a regular season game and the starters are going to play?
They treat it like a regular season game and stars are going to play. I mean, you have a lot of stats and things like that. Oh, man, Mahomes just got picked off in the end zone.
Oh.
I don't know what the flag is. Could be
picked
looks
off.
Like I might be, pass interference on them. Looks like it will be. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'll finish the end of the game. Hey, if you're listening live, thanks for coming out. Great job in the chat room. We'll see you guys next week. Daniel J. Lewis is on, and we'll see you. Mike, hang tight for me 1 sec. See you guys.